Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you this layout that I created using my Scraproom kit. This is a one of the for the month kits, and it is Dear Lizzy, and the collection is called Stay Colorful. I have two pictures of my daughter and my husband before the Cupid's Ball in February, and then I have this digital cut file that I got. I believe this is from the Silhouette store, but I'll try and find that info for you and put it in the description box. And I recently went to Tuesday morning and got these paint daubers, and I decided that a hint of yellow behind the back of the cut file there. See how that really pops the cut file, and it's kind of a neat way to be able to use tone on tone and do white on white and still add some color to pop that digital cut file. Now that piece of pattern paper that you see there with the navy, the aqua, the yellow was what I really was aiming for with the principal color palette for my layout, but you'll see that that evolves. The photos got lost in the busyness of that pattern paper. So I flipped it over and I went with the teal, and I still wanted to incorporate that pattern paper with the flowers on it, that floral, because that was what my color palette was. I put a large doily, this did not come with the kit, that is from Spiegel Mom Scraps, behind the digital cut file, thinking that it would just add a little something to it, but you will see that I will eventually take that off because you lose the yellow and it does something funny, that transparent doily over the yellow, so I will end up removing that. So with this piece of pattern paper here, I end up incorporating more color into the layout. And the reason I ended up going with this, even though it's just such a tiny piece that frames the photo, is that that pinky purple is the same color as the cardigan that my daughter is wearing. And I liked the way that it really sort of accentuated her in the photos. So I'm just going to use that as a small frame, and again to accentuate the photo, and I put that on some fun foam to just pop that close-up picture. Now, one of the pattern papers that there has some houses on it, and I thought it would be fun to use that on the layout with the idea, and it's never mentioned, but sort of the implication of a night on the town. And I know that the houses aren't really town, and they were in downtown Richmond, but it's just sort of a message that I thought would be cool with those little houses in there. And then I wanted to nestle the houses on a strip on the bottom of the layout, and I end up, you see I tried a number of different things, and I end up going with that selvage strip there. And I'm going to cut the selvage strip a little bit too long, and I will ultimately put it down on the right hand side, and then at the end of the layout you're going to see it on the left hand side, but I do pick it back up and I put it on the right hand side to balance the layout. So now I have some of the ephemera, what are these, die cuts, and you would think that I've never scrapbooked in my life before because I shuffle these things around, I pull them apart. I'm not a big fan of all of the puffy layers. You saw that I put foam underneath my photo, so I do like dimension to my pages, but I don't like them to be skyscrapers standing off of my page. So I pull this that ribbon apart, I take the foam off, I stick it back on, I have this flower. I want to incorporate these elements into it, but they never end up making it on the layout because they don't work. I put the flower on there, I took the sentiment off, but it just ends up looking like I've stuck things on the page for the sake of sticking things on the page. And I leave this here to show you that even though you've been scrapbooking a while, there are things that you do that don't always end up being on your page, and that's quite okay. So that says hip hip hooray, the little in gold, the rose gold, and I actually really like it looking at the video and as I edited the video, but it doesn't make it on the page, and it's okay because I like the way that the page ends up turning out. So here I am committing to this on the right hand side of the layout, which is where you will see it in the final. I found this little stamp that had a building on it, and I thought it looked kind of cool because it added another layer to the layout, but I will also end up removing that as well. It was the wrong pink in the layout, and I really wanted that pinky purple that matched the color of my daughter's sweater. So I'm going to commit to this background behind the pictures and adhere those down, and then it's a matter of how much of this background do I want. Do I want it to go all the way across the page? Do I want it to be shorter? And I mess around with that and ultimately decide that I want it to fill the circle, but not cover all of the circle so that you can see that wreath there. So there's just a little bit of poking out from the right hand side, you can see right there, but it almost negates the wreath and you lose the completeness of that, so I will end up trimming that down. And in my Scraproom kit, you just get a selection of embellishments. So I happen to get the word hello, which I am going to complete with beautiful later on, and I do that off camera so that my title for this layout reads Hello Beautiful. So there I finally have incorporated that piece of unity paper, as I call it, that ties everything together, yet somehow I've managed to put the pink and the hot pink and a whole slew of different colors on the layout, and that's okay. And there's that banner again. I'm trying to make it work. I put the butterfly die cut on it, and then I find the pattern paper that has the butterflies on it. And I will fast forward through this as I decide to fussy cut one of the butterflies. But first, here's my Suzanna shuffle. I am not shuffling the title for once, but I am shuffling the placement of this, which I thought balanced the things on the right hand side of the page a little bit more. I like the backing of that cluster with that pinky purple, but I don't end up doing it. And again, the reason I didn't do it was because I really had, my intention had been for the focus of the colors of this layout to be the aqua of the different shades, the navy, and the yellow. I struggled with this selvage strip as well because it ends up being very heavy, so I do end up shortening it and trimming it down just a little bit more, and you'll see that in the close-ups. I decide to banner this floral paper here, and something bothers me about the balance and the weight of the colors on this layout. So I will end up going in and using that stamp that's at the bottom there next to the houses with the house on it, as well as another very thin strip of that blue floral on the left-hand side of the picture to create some equality in the middle of the layout and to balance that with the weight of the heaviness of that strip at the bottom of the page. And when you see the close-ups, you'll understand what I mean by that. So I've committed to those particular layers, and I've committed to the hello, and now I'm going to fussy cut out another butterfly because I have the butterfly in the cut file, and then I have the butterfly that is the ephemera piece, and so I want something of the blue hue to match the color palette that I've chosen, and something of a different size so that I have the trio of butterflies. That was the intent anyway. I will end up with 4 butterflies on the layout, 3 actual butterflies that are colored, and then the one white on white butterfly that is in that digital cut file there. So fussy cutting out that butterfly and trying to figure out and playing with the placement of where that is going to go. And again, I want to know where that's going to go just to add the balance. This is where I pull that other dimensional butterfly off, and I put it down by the houses, but it will move to up beside the white butterfly in the digital cut file. So these are some little pennants that are on a, I'm going to call it a chopstick, but it's not a chopstick, on a little wood banner. And I liked it up on the top left-hand side of the page because it had to be coming out of the page. And by doing that, it completes a trio of things because I have the banner, then you go down to the pictures and the title, and then you go to the left to the cluster of houses, or as I'm going to call it, the night out on the town. However, I decide to move the night on the town over to the right-hand side so that you literally move in a diagonal instead of the beginning of a zigzag. So committing to these things and I am going to use that Prima glue pen in order to just get the finer detail to apply the glue. The digital cut file is not fully stuck down to the page. It just adds a little bit of movement, and there's that hello and the butterfly. I am going to put the butterfly down. I like to just, when I adhere butterflies, just put the glue in the center so that I can pop the wings. And because I've popped the picture, I also am going to pop hello and use some fun foam beside that. Which takes a little bit of finagling because of the cursive lettering that I have there. And again, just use my Prima glue pen to get the adhesive on and stick that down. And again, I think I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to use some Evalicious letters from a Cocoa Daisy kit that's in that same sort of purpley pink color, and put beautiful underneath hello to complete that title. And I do that off camera. And then the banner, the heart is going the wrong way, so I need to find something to cover that up. I thought these puffy hearts were going to do the trick, but I end up finding something from the Dear Lizzy sticker book that I put on top. So that, my friends, is my layout created using the Dear Lizzy goodies from a Scraproom kit. Enjoy the close-ups. I hope you enjoyed the process video. And as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Take care.